Hey, what's up, stock compounders? Brad here. So today I want to veer off the path of the typical content that I make and honor Jacob Blake, who was shot in Kenosha, Wisconsin, by police officers. And I want to stand in solidarity with the basketball teams that have decided not to play in order to use those platforms to put attention on this issue that we're facing in this country right now. I've been involved in kind of an anti-racism workshop over the last several weeks, and I want to show a video clip that kind of gets to the history of police in this country. This is a time when it's really important for us to educate ourselves about what's happening. And I'm nervous to kind of put this issue out there, especially on a channel that's really focused on investing, because I know there's a lot of polarization around the issue. But it's something I'm committed to going deeper into, understanding my own prejudices, and not staying silent about it. Having a dialogue with you folks about what's happening and how we can contribute to social justice, racial justice in this country. So let's watch this 4-minute clip, and then I might have something to say at the end. I might not, but this clip really stood out to me, and I wanted to share it.
All men are created equal. All men are created equal. It's the lofty and revolutionary ideal at America's core. Yet it was written at a time when some inhabitants were held in bondage, and others were being dispossessed of their lands. How did American society justify unequal treatment based on skin color and national origins? How did it reconcile that contradiction? America created a story of race.
We have the idea that it's somewhere written in stone that there are these fundamental differences between human beings. We don't realize that race is an idea that evolves over time, that it has a history, that it is constructed by a society to further certain political and economic
rebellion
goals.
Led to tighter British control of the colony. It may also have hastened the movement toward a labor system based on black slavery. Some historians argue that the Virginia planters, fearing another insurrection by the frontier white servants, began to turn to Africa for laborers. The strategy was to divide blacks and whites by creating an artificial color line. It's at this moment when race and racism radically alters the system of forced labor that had been practiced by human civilizations for thousands of years by injecting race into the equation. Again, Tim Wise explains.
So there was no white race, but in the colonies of what would become the United States, what did we see in the 1660s, 1670s? We began to see that Africans of indentured servant status realized, as did the white indentured servants, the Europeans who hadn't even been called white yet, that they had a lot of things in common, like the fact that they were all getting their clock cleaned by the elite. And so they would get together more than our history books taught us to foment rebellion against the elite, to try to get a better deal for themselves on the basis of economic necessity and economic justice. And what did the elite do? When you see that you're outnumbered by black and white folks who are penniless, landless, peasants, you have to do one of two things. You either have to kill them all, but you can't do that because who's going to work? Rich folks weren't going to. They had to get poor people to work. The whole point was to be a person of leisure back in those days. That was the goal, was not to work. So you couldn't kill them all. You didn't want to kill them all. You had to do the work yourself. You had to build your own levee, build your own house. No. Pick your own tobacco, harvest your own cotton. No, we're not going to do any of that. So you can't kill them, but you can co-opt them. And so the elite in Virginia, for example, in the colony, begins to give certain carrots to people of European descent, saying things like, we're going to let you own a little land, not much, but just a little. And we're going to get rid of indentured servitude. Now you're free labor. And by the way, once you're free labor, you get 50 acres of land just because you're free labor, see? So we're going to cut you in on this deal. We're going to let you enter into contracts. We're going to let you testify in court. And here's the best of all. We're going to put you on the slave patrol to keep those people in line, right? The idea was you're still going to get your clock clean. We still don't like you. We still aren't going to really empower you or change your economic subordination, but we're going to make you honorary members of this team, and you're going to help us keep those other people down. So they got a little taste of power, and it did effectively divide and conquer those coalitions. Those rebellions began to stop almost instantly.
So there's the history of the police force in the U.S. Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to that. I'm just going to sit with that. I encourage you to sit with that. And it's a really uncomfortable time. But I encourage you to feel the things that are coming up in the face of everything that's going on around racial injustice, around these, police shootings. It's a lot to feel. It's hard to be without answers. It's easy to want to take some kind of action, but I think a really important first step is to feel, because it's so easy to be numb to what's happening. So that's all I wanted to share. I'll see you guys in the next video.